Good evening, traveller. I am Sir Everest, your humble guide through the winding corridors of history. Tonight, I invite you to journey with me deep beneath ancient Rome into the silent world of the city's hidden lifelines, where few dared to go, but all depended on. Before we descend, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever wondered what it truly felt like to live in the shadows of the greatest empire? As you listen, share your thoughts or questions in the comments. Was there a moment that surprised you or made you grateful for modern comforts? Your voice helps guide our next adventure. If these peaceful journeys help you find rest, please do let me know by leaving a like and subscribing so you'll never miss another night in history. Your presence and stories make our travels brighter for all. Now gather your courage, light your lantern, and let us step softly into the world few Romans ever saw. Settle beside me, traveller. Take a slow, deep breath and let it begin our journey. Not in the grand forums or sunlit temples of Rome, but deep beneath its waking streets, where the night lingers even when dawn breaks above. The city sleeps, marble shining silver in the moonlight, but down here we wake early, long before Rome's first cockerel lifts its voice. Let the darkness embrace you, for what you will experience is a day in the life that few would envy, and even fewer would survive. The air is cool, thick with the mingled scents of earth and stone, but always something more. Damp, ancient water, the faint trace of smoke, the subtle bite of rot. Your linen cloak is already damp before you take your first step. You reach for the familiar weight of your oil lamp, its warmth your only comfort, the soft golden flame trembling with every breath of hidden air. Shadows tumble across the curved stone walls, dancing in time to your footsteps and heartbeats. Sometimes you wonder if the darkness is watching too. Before the work truly begins, there's a silent ritual. You pass other workers, faces drawn and tired, trading quiet nods in the gloom. Some are veterans of these tunnels, their eyes adjusting instantly. Others are new, blinking at every sound. Each one, like you, takes a moment to touch the walls, feeling for loose stones or hidden cracks, sharing the city's pulse through ancient stone. You remember a story. A child once lost in the tunnels, found only by the warmth of a worker's lamp and the echo of gentle singing. Stories like this become lifelines here. Your feet sink into the persistent mud, sandals threatening to slip with every step. Sometimes you lose one entirely, fishing it out with a curse and a nervous laugh. The ground is uneven, slick with centuries of wear, worn smooth by generations of passage. You can hear the river Tiber above, though you've never seen it directly. Only felt its presence in the deep vibration of water running through the veins of the city. Above you, faintly, carts rumble, and the voices of market vendors float down, warped and muted like dreams of a brighter world. Now, the work itself, you search for trouble. A leak, a fissure, the slow encroachment of tree roots. Today, you find a patch where the wall weeps steadily, dark stains marking the path of water long before you arrived. You kneel, examining the ancient mortar. Someone placed these stones by hand hundreds of years ago. You wonder who they were, what songs they hummed, whether they too hoped to see daylight again. Carefully, you patch the crack with fresh clay, hands moving by memory, skill passed down through countless sunless mornings. Time blurs in the tunnel. The lamp's flame flickers, your only guide through shadow and silence. Sometimes you speak aloud, not for company, but to remind yourself that you exist in the living world. You remember the day you found a coin pressed into the mud and the tiny thrill it gave you. A whisper from another life, maybe lost in haste, maybe placed as a secret token. Nearby a rat scurries past, whiskers twitching. Here all creatures are kin, both survivors, both unseen. A blockage looms ahead, a tangled mass of roots, rags and bones. The smell is sharp, earthy and metallic. You work slowly, not wanting to disturb whatever small piece might rest there. With a hooked pole, you ease the mess free, water surging forward, swirling around your ankles. The flow quickens, and for a moment you feel the city breathe again. One tiny artery unclogged. There's pride in this work, invisible as it is. Without it, Rome above would drown in its own grandeur. Breaks are precious. You find a dry ledge, sharing it with another worker whose name you barely know, but whose company is a silent comfort. You eat bread, hard and plain, dipping it in cold water, savouring each bite as though it were a feast. You talk quietly about nothing at all, the weather, a rumour of festival above, the ache in your knees. Down here, small pleasures are everything. A shared laugh, a moment's warmth, the echo of music carried through a vent from a house you'll never see. The hours crawl by. You grow tired, your arms aching from shoveling silt, your lungs burning with the weight of damp air. Sometimes you close your eyes and simply listen. The drip of water, the distant life above, the soft shifting of stones as the city settles into itself. You think of your family, perhaps, waiting at home in a cramped apartment, your efforts the reason they can sleep safe, unaware of the currents that threaten below. Near midday, the tunnels are alive with a changing shift. Greetings are brief, hands are clasped, news is exchanged where the rats are thickest, which passage is safest, which section collapsed last week. Sometimes a newcomer asks about the outside world, and a veteran tells a tale, some true, some wildly imagined, of a hidden chamber filled with treasures, or a secret door that opens onto a forgotten temple. The story is a comfort, binding you all in this underworld community. Fatigue is constant. You crawl through passages barely wide enough for your shoulders, the stone brushing your skin, the lamp's light shrinking to a dim halo. At times the darkness feels alive, pressing in with a gentle persistence. You pause, breath steady, and remind yourself you're not alone. The memory of every worker who came before you keeps you company. Occasionally, you discover something lost. A child's doll, a broken brooch, a bone carved with a pattern whose meaning you'll never know. Each relic is a testament to the secret. Overlapping lives that thread beneath the city. By afternoon, your body protests with every movement. You rub aching joints, splash your face with cold water from a tiny spring, and press onward. The work is never truly done. You clear another blockage, repair a crumbling wall, record a leak for the next day's crew. Every action is careful, methodical, shaped by both experience and the unspoken understanding that down here, mistakes are seldom forgiven. Now, let us pause once more. Feel the cool stone at your back, the rhythm of your own breath. In these tunnels, the city's history flows through you. Rest here as long as you wish, letting go of worries, listening to the hush that soothes even the most restless minds. Evening approaches, the lamp's oil runs low, the shadows lengthen. One last task, a final inspection, a word of encouragement to a younger worker, a glance upward through a grating where you glimpse the orange blush of sunset above. The promise of light, the promise of return. Together, you and your companions make your way back through the winding maze, feet heavy, but spirits lifted by the knowledge that you have kept Rome safe for one more day. As you climb the narrow stone stairway, the light at the tunnel's end grows. You emerge at last into the cool embrace of twilight, city sounds bright and sharp, air sweet with the scent of night-blooming flowers. The world above is bustling, unaware of your invisible work, but you carry a quiet pride, an understanding that even in darkness, your efforts matter. Rest now, traveller. Our day as a Roman sewer worker is done, but the story of Rome's hidden heart is just beginning. Stay with me and let us journey onward. Let us now journey upward and backward, traveller, into the light of a rising city, Rome as it teetered between chaos and greatness. Imagine a land of muddy valleys and wild churning rivers, a people clinging to the higher ground, their streets too often lost to floods and filth. It is here our story of transformation begins, with one figure whose quiet vision would ripple across centuries. Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, a king not born of Rome, but destined to leave its deepest mark. Close your eyes and let me guide you through the Rome of his youth. The air carries the heavy scent of wet earth and wood smoke. After every rain, water pools in the streets, collecting waste and refuse. Even the noblest villas suffer the indignity of flooded courtyards, the mighty Tiber swelling in the night. Disease spreads quickly, carried by stagnant pools and swarming insects. Beneath the city's ambitions lies a crisis, a shadow that cannot be banished with marble or words. Tarquinius was a thoughtful king, more given to listening than speeches. He spent his mornings walking the riverbank, sometimes alone, sometimes with a handful of loyal counsellors. He watched how the water moved, how it snatched away carts and loosened stones. The people grumbled, merchants lost their goods, children grew sick. Rome, they said, would never tame its rivers. No city could. But Tarquinius dreamed otherwise. He saw not just a problem, but a possibility. On quiet mornings, he would kneel by the marshes, drawing lines in the mud with his staff, sketching grand designs no one else could yet imagine. He summoned Rome's cleverest artisans and builders, many skeptics, some believers. He asked them not for miracles, but for trust, patience, and the courage to attempt the impossible. Picture the early days of this vision, bands of workers, shovels and baskets in hand, gathering beneath banners marked with the king's seal. The work began in silence, the men unsure. They cut channels in the soft earth, heaping the mud high, arguing about which way the water would flow. Each setback was met not with anger, but with Tarquinius's quiet resolve. Stone by stone, he told them, Rome can build anything. The plan was daring, a great tunnel to carry away the city's filth and excess water. It would run beneath the city, deeper and longer than any had tried before. There were no blueprints, just rough sketches and the guidance of experience. As the workers dug, the earth resisted. Rains came, flooding their trenches. Sometimes the ground collapsed, swallowing days of toil in a single night. Men grumbled, bruised and cold, but the king was always there at dawn, walking the site, offering bread and quiet words, sharing in their struggles. He listened to their worries about ghosts in the deep, about the river's anger, about the sheer scale of the task. They began laying the first stones for what would become the Cloaca Maxima, the great sewer. Each block was hauled from the quarries, carried by hand, set into place with sweat and silent hope. The work was slow. The walls had to be strong enough to resist the shifting earth, yet precise enough to channel water swiftly away. Artisans argued about arches, about which mortar would hold longest, about how to curve the roof so that the pressure would not crush the tunnel with the weight of Rome above. Day by day, season by season, the tunnels took shape. Sometimes progress was measured in inches, sometimes in heartbeats. In the evenings, workers gathered around small fires, sharing tales of the day. Some spoke of near misses, a wall that shuddered but held, a flood that nearly swept them away. Others wondered aloud if the king's vision was folly. But each morning, Tarquinius returned, lantern in hand, encouraging them with quiet faith. "We are building more than stone," he would say. "We are building Rome's tomorrow." Let me share a story whispered among the workers. One bitter winter, when rains flooded the half-built tunnels and all seemed lost, Tarquinius himself waded waist-deep in the freezing water, helping haul out the collapsed earth. That night, the men began to believe, not just in the king, but in themselves, and in the possibility that even the river could be tamed. The city above rarely noticed the progress below. Senators debated the cost, merchants fretted about lost business, and the common folk carried on their daily struggles. But underground, a silent revolution was underway. As the Cloaca Maxima grew, Rome's streets began to dry. The air grew less foul, the threat of disease receded. Children played where puddles once stood. It was slow, almost invisible at first, but it changed everything. Engineers refined their methods, learning to use clay pipes, inventing new ways to shore up walls, passing knowledge from father to son. The tunnel's arches became smoother, the flow more reliable. Sometimes a blockage or collapse would test them, but the lessons of each setback made them stronger. Over time, the Cloaca Maxima became not just a sewer, but a symbol, a living testament to what patience, persistence, and quiet leadership could achieve. Tarquinius did not claim all the glory. When asked about the marvel, he would only smile and say, "It is the work of many hands." His name faded from the lips of later generations, replaced by emperors and generals. Yet every time rain fell and the city remained safe, every time water ran clear through the heart of Rome, his spirit lingered. The workers told their children and grandchildren, "We helped build the bones of Rome. We gave the city a future." As the years passed, the Cloaca Maxima was expanded and maintained, becoming a hidden lifeline. Even centuries later, it continued to protect the city, humming quietly beneath the cobblestones. Some say you can still hear the echo of the first stones being laid if you listen closely, an unbroken song of determination and hope. So rest here, friend, and consider the hands that built the world's foundations, unseen, rarely honoured, yet essential. If you wish to honour these quiet heroes, let your lantern glow in the comments, or subscribe to walk these ancient tunnels with me again. Take a slow breath and know that our story is far from over. For the mysteries of Rome's underworld and its marvels await us in our next journey. Come quietly with me now, dear traveller, as we leave the familiar tunnels behind and slip deeper into the labyrinth beneath Rome. A world untouched by sunlight and haunted by questions no historian has ever fully answered. Down here, the air grows cooler and the darkness more profound. Let us move with slow, measured steps, oil lamp raised high, senses attuned to secrets that have slumbered for centuries. Pause and listen. You'll hear more than just water dripping or the shuffle of our feet. Sometimes the stones themselves seem to breathe, each block a silent witness to the city's unfolding drama above. The further we descend, the stranger the tunnels become. Some are wide and well crafted, echoing with 1,000 years of footsteps. Others are narrow, hastily cut, twisting without reason, fading into the gloom with no destination at all. Who dug these passages and why? We pass old graffiti scratched into the plaster by unknown hands. A fish, the crude outline of a human face, strange symbols worn by time. Was it a worker marking their presence? Or a message for those who followed, hoping for a sign of companionship in the endless dark? You imagine the artist, pausing in the cold, their fingers numb, carving a quick memory into the stone before vanishing back into shadow. In one chamber, we find the remains of an ancient lamp, blackened by years of use, lying beside a child's marble and a broken comb. What brought these small things here? Perhaps centuries ago, a frightened family hid below during a time of violence. Or a child followed their parent to work, only to drop their most prized possession. Here we can only wonder. Archaeologists debate endlessly about these tunnels. Some say they were escape routes, carved in haste during times of siege. Others believe they were secret meeting places where forbidden cults gathered to whisper oaths by lamplight. There are legends of treasure, gold coins or sacred relics hidden in bricked-up niches, waiting for a finder bold and lucky enough to search every shadow. And there are darker stories too, of prisoners left to wander until they faded into legend, or of the city's rulers sealing away their rivals where no one would ever hear their cries. Yet, as we explore, notice the little signs of ordinary life. A faded footprint pressed in the mud and preserved by accident. A faded mural showing a ship sailing across a painted sea. A pile of animal bones neatly arranged, as if someone once waited out a storm by candlelight, making a quiet meal alone in the dark. These details ground the mystery, reminding us that Rome's greatness was built not just by heroes, but by countless forgotten souls whose days were spent in shadow. Let us linger by an underground stream, the water whispering secrets as it flows past our feet. Imagine for a moment being an explorer in the modern age, crawling through these passages with a flickering flashlight, unsure if the air is safe, recording every new chamber and corridor with quiet awe. Some of these explorers return with pockets full of pottery shards and strange stories. Others come away with only a sense of humility, overwhelmed by the scale of what remains unknown. We move forward, turning corners, ducking through narrow arches, our light sometimes catching the glint of a hidden coin or the gleam of ancient tiles. There are places where the tunnels open into vast rooms, the ceilings lost in shadow, the walls etched with faded Latin prayers or poetic lines. It is easy to lose your sense of direction here. Easy to imagine that time moves differently, that you're not a visitor, but a dream drifting through centuries. Pause here and breathe deeply. There is no hurry. If your mind is restless, let the hush and the gentle echo of history soothe you. Here your worries fade into the background. All that matters is the quiet and the knowledge that you're surrounded by stories, some known, most lost, all part of the great current that shaped the world above. We find ourselves in a chamber few have ever seen, a domed room, its ceiling painted with stars, the remains of a mosaic glinting on the floor. In the corner, a broken amphora, a shoe and what might be the hilt of an old dagger. Each artifact a mystery, each shadow a question. For centuries, no one has disturbed this place. You kneel, brush your fingers across the stones, and wonder, who stood here last? What did they hope for, fear, or leave behind? Let us rest now, friend, and listen to the soft trickle of water, the far-off shiver of wind in hidden vents. If these mysteries comfort you, let your lantern shine for others to find. The past is vast, and our journey through its sleeping corridors is just beginning. Soon we will rise toward the world above, but let us linger a moment longer in the heart of Rome, surrounded by silence, wonder, and the promise of stories yet to be told. Now, fellow wanderer, let us ascend at last, leaving the shadowed tunnels and rising up through stone and silence into the bright, perfumed world above. In this new light, we enter the domain of privilege, the daily life of a Roman senator, where luxury, power, and subtle politics weave together in a tapestry as intricate as any mosaic. Breathe deeply and step quietly. Here, every gesture and glance carries meaning. Imagine the gentle hush of dawn in a grand Roman domus. Pale sunlight filters through the open atrium, casting delicate gold across marble floors. The air is scented with laurel, myrrh, and the faintest traces of last night's lamp oil. You wake not to labour, but to leisure. The bed is wide, linen soft and cool. You stretch, not rushed, and take a moment to listen to the tranquil fountain in the garden just outside. Water trickling o'er stone, blending with the early bird song. Servants move about in near silence, drawing the heavy curtains, arranging a basin of warm water for your morning wash. On a silver tray, fresh bread, figs, honey, and creamy cheese await. A simple meal, but one prepared with care. As you break your fast, you read a scroll, perhaps lines from Virgil, or a list of matters awaiting your attention in the Senate. The weight of the world feels gentle, softened by layers of wealth and routine. Dressing is an act of ritual. First the soft tunic, then the fine toga, draped with practiced grace. A ring slides onto your finger, heavy with family history. You pass through painted halls, the walls alive with scenes of myth and legend, past a household shrine where a small flame burns, watched over by family gods. Each room is touched by memory. The quiet laughter of children, the ghost of old debates, the scent of spring from open courtyards. Stepping out, you make your way through the bustling streets, accompanied by a pair of loyal clients and a discreet bodyguard. You move serenely through the city, greeted by merchants and friends. You pause in the forum, exchanging the latest news, rumours of a distant rebellion, the price of grain, the outcome of a chariot race. Each word is weighed, each nod a subtle message. In the Senate, the morning's business unfolds. The hall is a forest of marble columns, light glancing from gilded capitals. Voices rise and fall, some calm, some sharp, some merely murmurs in the background. You listen more than you speak, absorbing the shifting alliances, the hidden tensions behind every polite phrase. When you do address the Senate, your words are measured, crafted with care. Persuasion here is a gentle art, not a battlefield. Outside, crowds gather to hear the latest verdicts, their lives shaped by decisions made within these echoing walls. The day continues in gentle rhythms. Sometimes you wander through your private gardens, the air fragrant with roses and herbs. You pause by a pool to watch goldfish flicker just beneath the surface, or to listen to the lazy drone of bees. There are meetings with poets and philosophers, debates over matters both grand and trivial. The afternoon might bring a leisurely visit to the public baths, steam rising, laughter echoing, old friends exchanging news as they relax into the tepidarium's warmth. Every sense is engaged. The splash of water, the touch of stone benches, the scent of olive oil rubbed into tired skin. Later, you return home, welcomed by the bustle of evening preparations. The household stirs as lamps are lit and perfumes waft from the kitchens. In the triclinium, the dining room, tables are set with fine glass, painted ceramics, platters of roasted meats, cheeses, fruits, olives, pastries soaked in honey. Guests arrive, draped in bright togas and bearing gifts, wine from distant vineyards, clever conversation, news from the provinces. The meal is not just for nourishment, but for connection. Laughter and storytelling flow freely. Between courses, musicians play lyres and pipes, dancers swirl in flowing robes, and poets recite verses old and new. Sometimes a storyteller shares a tale of gods or heroes, the flickering lamplight turning each word into gold. You savour each taste, each sound, each slow unfolding moment. Time seems to expand here. There is no hurry, no worry that cannot be set aside for a few gentle hours. Yet beneath the luxury there is always the memory of the world below, the city's hidden workers, the pulse of Rome's unseen lifelines. You know that your comfort rests on the efforts of many hands, and sometimes you pause to reflect on the invisible threads that bind your life to theirs. This awareness brings humility and perhaps a sense of quiet gratitude. As the evening deepens, the music softens and guests drift away. You retire to your study, surrounded by books and scrolls, the glow of a single lamp casting long shadows. You write a letter to an old friend or make notes for tomorrow's debates. The window stands open to the cool night air, the distant hum of city life fading into the hush of darkness. At last, you return to your chamber. The linens are fresh, the bed inviting. As you settle under the covers, the sounds of the household fade. Only the gentle trickle of water and the distant echo of laughter remain. You close your eyes, drifting into dreams shaped by the day's quiet joys. Pause here, traveller, and let yourself savour this calm. If these stories bring you rest, let your lantern shine so others might find their way. Subscribe if you wish to return to such nights again. Soon our journey will close and we'll return to our own quiet corners. Breathe deeply. Our time in ancient Rome is nearly at its end. We have wandered far tonight, dear friend, from the deepest shadows beneath Rome, through mystery and struggle, to the candlelit halls of power above. Now, as the city quiets and your own eyes grow heavy, let yourself drift gently to sleep. Know that you are safe, accompanied by stories and the silent strength of those who came before. I am honoured to have guided you through history's winding corridors. This is Sir Everest, your humble companion, wishing you peaceful dreams and gentle rest. Until our next journey through time, may the night watch over you and may you awaken refreshed. Good night, traveller.